Hello everyone, my name is Mallory Brunel and I'm Assistant Professor in the Department of Nursing at Metropolitan State University of Denver. Today I'll be presenting a virtual poster for the Nurse Educators Conference in the Rockies. The title of my poster is Terror and Telemetry, an Interactive Pharmacology Experience. Here's a quick overview of what my poster looked like. For objectives, we're going to learn how to convert a simple case study into an interactive roleplay and escape room activity in a traditional pharmacology class setting on a shoestring budget. Here are the methods that I utilized for this pilot project. The theory behind my practice is the self-determination theory. Before we get into how to convert case studies into escape rooms, it's important to understand that all games have these 4 design elements in common that are essential for students to maintain intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. So here is the model that I developed to convert existing case studies into escape rooms. In the research, basically all escape room tools for our development tools really were relegated to storyboard activities. And while those are fantastic, they do require a lot of creative process, a lot of time, and a lot of energy. And that's not always practical when we're trying to develop a lot of content. So I found that you could take a very simplistic case study and actually expand it out into an easy escape room using some very quick plot devices. So why would I choose to look at a case study and make it into an escape room? Case studies are great. The challenge with case studies is they tend to be fairly one-track and simplistic. You have a very clear problem and a very clear solution. Well, escape rooms give us a little bit more of artistic freedom so that we can pull out different items, as you will see for my terror and telemetry case study, which is the exemplar for this how-to. You can actually explore some different methodologies. So for example, here we have a very simplistic case study that looks at digoxin toxicity. Normally, we'd have a very ABCDE approach to this case study where students would list out side effects of digoxin and what they might see. But in an escape room, we can have a little bit more of an accelerated timeline and whimsy. And so during the escape period, one of my objectives is to understand all antiarrhythmias. And so my patient, as per toxicity occurs, has multiple changes on his EKG and cycles through many different arrhythmias. This allows me to explore lots of different antiarrhythmic drugs in the guise of one overarching activity. When you pick a case study, you only ever want to find 3 to 4 objectives that fit that case study, otherwise you'll overwhelm the learner. In kind, you should only ever choose 2 to 3 challenges per objective. So challenges are those activities where students unlock the different aspects of the escape room to get out or to achieve whatever outcome you're looking for. Step 4, we always need a bigger plot device anytime we complete an objective. And the rationale for this, and they're called Easter eggs, is that they actually re-engage the learner. So it's a reward or an advancement of the plot or the scenario that encourages the student to stay engaged. You can see I have a list of challenges divided by Bloom's taxonomy. The rule of thumb is you should only ever choose 4 to 5 different challenges per the full escape room. And you can just utilize the same type of challenge repeatedly. For step 5, you need to identify a goal. So in this case, it's just the answer for the case study. The patient has digoxin toxicity and they need to give immune fab to escape this issue. For the plot, it's very easy to work the plot backwards when you utilize a case study as the underlying tool. You can then use simple plot fill devices like the Mission Impossible theme. So for example, for this case, my patient's the keys to the med cabinet were stolen. You have to identify what's wrong with your patient and search throughout the hospital to find the hidden keys and save the day. You can also see how I engage role play, which I have found to be one of the most important aspects of making this a high-level application assignment. Students actually really like that aspect. Step 7 is to include a debrief. Anytime you're utilizing gamification, you do need debrief. This is where most of the deep learning occurs. Step 8 is developing the actual materials. Materials can be done on a shoestring budget. Here's an example of very simplistic materials that are simply just mainly printed out or utilized from found objects I had at home. Or 100-cent store items. Any of these types of tools are just as effective as high-fidelity simulations, if not more, for the purposes of a pharmacology course, because students can really explore and invest and investigate what's going on. So is it worth it? In looking at an independent sample test from 2 different TNO groups that took the same exact antidysphorinemic or Antidysrhythmic cardiac test. You can see that there was a statistically significant difference between my control group without the escape room and my group with the escape room. There was almost an 8-point difference in scores. Now, this is a pilot study. There were only 2 sample groups identified. So this only suggests that this should be continued to look at this point. From a student perspective, survey data showed that students greatly enjoyed this assignment. They felt like it helped put a lot of the pieces together. So next steps would be continuing this application process and collecting data. All right, here's my faculty info. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thank you so much.